Going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin 215.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to another edition of the Talkin 215 podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whatever time of the day you are listening, welcome to this week's edition of Talkin 215.
What is going on, everybody? We are Talkin 215 back at you with a little live show. But again, for anybody that misses it live, we hope that you can tune in after the fact. But right off the bat, definitely want to go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of the top-notch updates that we're going to be given. But join with me, as always, Mr. Sean Zebley.
What is going on, guys? It is Super Bowl week.
Woo!
And the Birds are in the big game.
Yes, they
as
are.
we all know, man. I don't know about you guys, but as the date draws closer and closer, I'm having more and more anxiety, like by the hour.
Yeah.
Last week, I was cool. I was almost like ignoring the fact that we were in the Super Bowl outside of course, whatever research we're doing, but really it hadn't quite hit me. And man, like every day since about Saturday or so, it's been just like looming.
Yeah. No, it really reminds me of that postseason Phillies run where we were like, man, we forgot how stressful postseason baseball is.
That was existential dread every single day. I think I'm just now, as of like today, starting to feel that. Although it hasn't quite peaked. I'm sure it'll get even worse the day of. Sunday, I'm going to be a wreck. I'm glad we're not doing anything the day of.
No, might do after.
We'll definitely, depending on how things go, we might do a little something after.
But we also have joined with us Coach Joey. Coach, how we doing?
My friends call me this week is absolutely dragging Coach Joey.
No, it really is. It's really ridiculous. I mean, we got through last week all right, and it was kind of just a nice break, honestly. Like we're just like, hey, you know what? Weekend's coming up, and we got nothing to worry about.
Well, it's weird. It feels like when Jalen Hurts missed those 2 weeks, right, with the shoulder, we didn't have the same type of like, oh, the Birds are playing this Sunday, baby, let's go. And then when you realize you only have to win one of your final 3 or 4 games to get the number 1 overall seed, and you can kind of nurse Jalen back in, and then we beat the Giants. We have a bye, so we're not playing that week, and then we destroy the Giants, so that's basically another bye, and then we destroy the Niners, that's another bye. And then now you have another bye before the Super Bowl. So it feels like we haven't watched the Eagles really play in over a month, technically. But couldn't be happier that we're at full strength, everybody ready to go, all 53. There's no better feeling because I would take this 53 over adding 53 in football. And I'm not just being biased. So I'm ready to line it up against the best. Let's go.
Now, obviously, Thursday, we're going to really break down this whole matchup and everything. But at the end of the day, I mean, do any of us think that the Eagles aren't the best team?
No, especially on paper. I mean, I see this as the top team in the league, and there's a very good reason why they're in the Super Bowl. They've been the best team just about all season from bell to bell. That isn't always who wins the Super Bowl, so we're not going to act like it's some sort of fucking shoe-in.
No.
But no, I think as a unit, this is the bar none the best team in football.
Yeah, I mean, are we sure, though? Brandon Ayuk was pretty adamant that the 49ers are the best team in
According to
football.
about half of the 49ers, it seems like the 49ers were clearly the much better team. And I mean, they were on the field, so they kind of know it. If anybody is going to understand it, they would know better than we would.
It's so crazy to me. I see 49ers fans doing a screenshot, a still shot of Brandon Ayuk with about 5 yards of separation on James Bradbury. Congratulations. But here's the problem with that is on almost any play in the history of professional football, I could freeze frame exactly when someone is open by 5, 7, maybe 8 yards on any play. The problem is in professional football, there's these things called defensive linemen that get in the vision, get in the way, and harass the other team's quarterback. So you see these college prep, high school prep things called 7-on-7, right? It's where the quarterback takes a football off of a chair, a stool, and just stands there. Then he has all day to find the open guy who's been running around, scramble drill for 20 seconds. There's no rush. There's no nothing. and you see these highlights posted on YouTube and Twitter, yeah, if a quarterback has 5 to 10 seconds to throw the ball, I'm sorry, anybody can get open on Deion Sanders, Champ Bailey, you name it. But guess what, Brandon? When you're blocking our players with backup tight ends and receivers that are coming in motion and right tackles that shouldn't be in the NFL, I don't care that your route took 6 seconds to develop because we're sacking your quarterback in 2. So it doesn't matter. So quit crying. All the 49ers fans, quit crying. Enjoy the show from your couch like you've been doing for the last week.
I mean, how much of a loser does it make him look like, though?
It makes him look like a grade A farm raised loser.
It really does. Like, he's got to have somebody like, look, man, like, I get it. You love your team. You felt like you guys were really good. You had a good path to the Super Bowl. You had some bad luck. You were on your 4th quarterback. Like, you can be frustrated and you can think, man, that game should have been a lot closer. But to the extent that he is going, where he just kept one up in it, he kept like adding another thing and another thing. If I was you, I would take everything I own, turn it to cash, and put it on the Chiefs. And another, like he just kept going.
Right. There just was quote after quote after quote being released by Brandon Ayuk himself.
Yeah. It's like, bro, when we had to take George Kittle saying on paper they're a really good team, as that was our bulletin board material, and we went out and beat you by 24. If you really are angry at the Eagles, shut up. Like, you're only giving them actual tangible shit, because
seriously,
hats off to the Chiefs and their fans. I haven't heard diddly from any of their players, any of their fans. I'm sure they're all lovely people.
I've heard my share of very like slightly biased fandom, but like nothing completely out of context, no wild over the top shit talk for the sake of shit talk. Yeah, you talk about bulletin board material, talk about selling every single dollar you've got and putting it on on the Chiefs.
Put it on Big Red.
Yeah, this is a whole season's worth of bulletin board material for these guys in the span of probably one singular interview.
It's insane.
And I mean, think about it. If you're the Eagles, you probably want bulletin board material. Everybody wants that. They want a little bit of extra motivation, kind of like when we won the Super Bowl in 17-18. We were the underdogs. Everybody said we didn't stand a chance. Everybody said the first home underdog in playoff history. You're looking at the Chiefs, and you got Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. Such a fun, lovable story. Andy Reid used to coach the Eagles. Pat Mahomes, he's not a bad guy, an unlikable player, anything like that. You know, he's a good team guy. The Chiefs are in, you know, a nice little barbecue city that, you know, it's just fun loving. There's not really much to hate. And then if you're the Chiefs, fans or players, you're like, wait a second, Brandon Ayuk, shut the hell up. Wait a second. Julian Love, what are you doing, dude? Like, why are you talking trash on a TV show? Micah Parsons, you made those systems comments, and now Jahan Dotson gets on there trolling Jalen Hurts. Get this, guys, for being 16-1 in his last 17 games, because that one loss was to Washington. So he thought that was hilarious.
And what did he do in that one loss?
What's that?
What did he do in that one loss? I believe it was one catch for 7 yards.
One catch for 7 yards, something like that. But it's funny, like, you're making fun. Imagine driving by a mansion, guys. Imagine driving by a mansion and making fun of the paint scheme on the outside of the mansion, being like, oh man, that does not accentuate those.
Driving
those
your PT Cruiser.
And then you drive back to your little 1-bedroom apartment and you're like, that mansion was so stupid and ugly. That paint scheme was way off. Like, put it into perspective. Read the room. Like, you're on the couch. We helped eliminate you, and we're in the Super Bowl, and you're making fun of us? Like, you're giving us a little bit of motivation. Props to the Chiefs and their fans. They haven't said a word, but they might be pissed at the other fan bases and the other players for providing this fuel.
No, my thought exactly. The Chiefs must hate this.
If anything else I've taken away from this is what is the general perception of the Eagles from the rest of the NFL? Like, is there a lot of merit to the rest of the league strongly disliking Nick Sirianni? Are there other unlikable personalities on this team? Because most of the time,
it's only Nick Sirianni. Because Mike McDaniel's on the Dolphins, he can be dancing with his team. He can be saying stupid shit all the time.
What is it that gets under everybody else's skin?
Brian Dable, he can go nuts after a chip shot field goal and pushing people and going crazy, but it's only a problem when Nick Sirianni does it, when he turns around and defends Frank Reich, one of his best friends.
I've never seen so much shit talk come from actual players that were ousted by this exact team. Like, most of the time you're like, hey man, this team was just better than us on this particular day, but somebody has something else to say every single time. It's odd to me.
No, even Parsons, who made the system comment, like, he even later said, and he said to, I think it was Lane Johnson, like right after the last game, was like, hey man, like, you know what I meant by that. And like, was trying to say, like, it was like they spun it in a way. And then he even started tweeting like, hey, Lane Johnson, like, rooting for you, win it for the NFC.
I think Micah Parsons is a big Eagles fan.
Well, yeah,
still.
Yeah, of course. I
You
mean,
know, you can see. Yeah, you can tell. Like, he's been looking.
He's going
up
to give it
to some of
100%
these
every
guys.
game, no matter who he's going against. But it's not like you can just go ahead and turn that switch off. He grew up an Eagles fan,
and he
born
got
and
drafted
raised
by the Cowboys. Like, but that's the only person that's kind of walked back some of those comments. And to be honest with you, I think his were just about some of the more docile comments.
Oh yeah,
at this point in the season.
But even if Micah Parsons were to say, yeah, I'm not going back on that, it's the system, Jalen Hurts sucks, I can almost understand it because Micah Parsons is one of the best defenders in the NFL. I can get that coming from a guy of that pedigree. But when you're Julian Love and there's highlights of the Eagles putting up damn near 50, and you're kind of in every single one of those highlights, why are you even being called to give your opinion? This is like you guys said, Orlando Scandrick. Like, you're a 6th DB on a team that's floundering that just gave up 40 points. Why are we asking you your opinion? I don't get it.
No, but thankfully we're not going to be talking about many losers the rest of this episode, as we have a number of winners to announce. The second annual Talkin 215 Eagles regular season award show. Obviously last year's was a big hit. We were able to personally hand Jordan Mailata his award. Not a big deal. He said he still has it hanging up at home. He got the Offensive Player of the Year last year. We knew that we were interviewing him, so there might have been a little bit of sway there, but he still had a phenomenal year last year. Had a pretty solid second half of the season this year.
Mm-hmm.
Has had a great postseason.
Yeah, he's really come on strong that last third of the season, and certainly
just moving people.
Yeah.
But why don't we go ahead and, in his honor, start off with the Offensive Player of the Year. We did limit this to everyone offense minus Jalen Hurts, because much like the Defensive Player of the Year, the next award, there is one person that would run away with it pretty handily. But here are the nominees. We've got one Arthur Juan Brown. We have one Devontae Smith. We have Jason Kelsey and Miles Sanders. We also sent this one to the fans, but I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts.
Well, this certainly wasn't, this was a pretty difficult question, especially when you're trying to compare apples to oranges, such as a wideout to a lineman.
Yeah.
Right. The linemen, the line, offensive line as a whole have been damn near studs every single game of the season, especially the second half of the season. Yeah. They really started to pick it up strong. We just talked about Mailata finishing strong. He had
Dickerson had kind of an all-around incredible season.
Dickerson, Lane Johnson, I mean, even Sayamalu, we really haven't heard his name be mentioned.
Sayamalu's done great.
Right. He hasn't been exposed by a single
player.
All right,
fine. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, the offensive line, in Miles Sanders.
Well, we've already made up our minds for this one, but no, but for Offensive Player of the Year, I mean, we got a guy with 88 receptions on the season, finished just shy of 1,500 yards, averaging 17 yards per reception with 11 touchdowns on the season. My Offensive Player of the Year is the one Arthur Juan Brown.
Coach?
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. I mean, obviously there's some strong nominees in here, but I'm just thinking in my head about games like Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Chicago, Giants, where even Detroit week 1, where there was plays where it was just, hey, nothing's open, I'm throwing it up to AJ. Hey,
I wish it was Giants divisional round.
I know you do. And just like that, it's just, hey, my guy's one-on-one, I'm giving him a chance. Oh, single coverage, no safety, throwing it to AJ. And 9 times out of 10, it's pass interference or a big gain or a catch or a touchdown, whatever it is, like having that luxury on your offense literally allows everybody else that you just named to shine. The Miles Sanders with the light boxes, the Devontae Smith drawing secondary coverage, CB2 type stuff. The offensive line flourishing because they can get off the ball a little bit better because the defense has to key in on the run game. Everything just changed when A.J. Brown came into this offense and made everybody better. So offensive player of the year to me, no-brainer, A.J. Brown.
No, and it was really a no-brainer for the fans as well. With a whopping 55% of the vote, next closest was Kelsey with 26% was A.J. Brown. And for all those reasons that you said, and then a little bit more even. I mean, when I put out the poll earlier last week, where after the following episode recorded, where I said, hey, who was a bigger offseason addition? A.J. Brown, Hassan Reddick. And a lot of people picked Reddick. And some people commented, and I think it made sense. It was more of a what have you done for me lately kind of thing. It came right off a time where Reddick absolutely dominated the 49ers. He's had an incredible postseason. He hasn't had a down game. And then A.J. Brown had a couple duds in the postseason and in the end of the regular season. And not even duds, just didn't really require him to have a game like that. So I think it was a much closer answer. I don't think there really was a wrong answer. But I almost lean towards A.J. Brown just because imagine where Jalen Hurts would be without A.J. Brown. Like, improved, no doubt. But think about just the mental and obviously physical things that A.J. Brown's doing, where he had a team and had an offseason where he does a great job, at least outwardly saying, I'm not listening to any of the noise, like any of the people talking, like I'm just here one game at a time, one day at a time, get 1% better each day. But you got to be hearing it and thinking like, man, everybody's saying this is the year I have to prove or I'm out, and they have to use these picks that they've been acquiring, a bunch of first-round picks to move up and get their guy. And then to have your organization say, no, what? No, we're going to go out, get you a number one wide receiver who's also your best friend. Not just a number one. There was plenty of wide receivers available in free agency, on the trade market. They went and targeted this guy, not only because he's one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL, but you can't say it's not because he's also Jalen Hurts' best friend. Like, that plays a role in it. So mentally, he's like, okay, franchise, this team has got my back. They're putting the eggs in my basket. And then to go out there and, like you said, just shy of 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns and everything. I mean, that Jalen Hurts jump, I don't know where it would be. It would be a leap without A.J. Brown. It'd be a leap.
I mean, you really look at the value he has, brings to this team over what his replacement would be. I mean, we talk about the absolute dissolution of Quez Watkins over this entire season. If Quez is out there as your wide receiver too, getting 90% of the snaps per game, 100% of the snaps per game, Hurts' production tanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
I mean, you have to assume they're going Treylon Burks or they're trying to trade up in the draft to get one of those guys if they didn't have that. Because they had to have the same mindset that we all had, that our wide receiver room, you take Devontae Smith out of it, coach, we were the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. Minus if you take Devontae Smith.
And who knows what would have happened if they ended up signing Calvin Ridley instead.
Yeah.
Right? If he doesn't
he wouldn't have played.
If he hadn't got suspended, we were certainly in the mix for him.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a done deal.
Right? That was a done deal. That trade was happening.
Yeah, and hats off to the Falcons because it wasn't public, and they were like, "Hey, like, no, we can't do this. Your boys."
Well, if they didn't do that, they get in trouble more than we realize, including the Philadelphia Eagles recouping assets from them.
Would we still keep them?
Them losing cap space, us gaining picks. So props to them. Hats off for being a top organization and doing that. But yeah, that was 100% Ridley was going to be an Eagle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So look, a lot of things would have happened, but I'm just saying A.J. Brown, hands down, the offensive player of the year. Again, not selling anything short on Miles Sanders having a career year, averaging a ton of yards, a ton of touchdowns. I mean, he went from no touchdowns last year to 1 billion this year. And Devontae Smith breaking 1,000 yards in his second season, nearly broke it last year. And I mean, we'll bring his name up again here shortly with favorite moment, but he had a number of games where he really took over. So this isn't selling any of those guys in the list short. It's just the value that this guy brought to the team on top of breaking the Eagles receiving record, just setting records every week, being the guy that you can toss it up and say 50-50. You back that ass up on the defender and you make that catch. Massive addition. Joey, next award.
Yeah, next award, I think we're going to go. Are we doing MVP or defensive player?
Whatever you want.
Let's go defensive player of the year for us. We just did the offensive player. Let's do the defensive player of the year. At the beginning of the year, if we asked after the first 8 weeks, I think we'd all have an answer, but we're asking at the end of the season, and I think we all have a similar answer. Ton of guys in the mix for it. I mean, you look at Hassan Reddick, you look at Darius Slay, James Bradbury, even Javon Hargrave. Look at guys like that. CJGJ, even though he missed some games, the impact he had in the games that he played.
Oh, no doubt.
Multiple positions being everywhere. So my vote for defensive player of the year, who I think should also be the National Football League's defensive player of the year, is Hassan Reddick. What he's done to this pass rush, what he's done to opposing offenses, having to get the ball out quick, allowing others like Josh Sweat to get one-on-ones, allowing the defensive tackles, the inside guys to get one-on-ones, just his disruption overall. And he doesn't just sack the quarterback when he goes in there. He's looking to get that football out.
Yeah.
He's looking to strip it every single time. He almost stripped Josh Johnson in the 49er game, but he was just barely down by a minuscule before that possession was changed. And to me, that's Von Miller type IQ. That's DeMarcus Ware type IQ where, yeah, sacks are great. But what does a sack mean unless I'm not disrupting that arm, causing that ball to come out? I remember Bill Russell for the Celtics, Hall of Fame center, used to say, there's no point in swatting the ball, blocking it into the stands with ferocity. If I could just put my hand up and still block it, doesn't look like that cool of a block, but now I retain possession of it.
Yeah.
So thinking outside the box like that and just being, hey, what can I do to get the football back for my team? I think it's hands down Hassan Reddick in my book.
Yeah, I mean, we played the clip last episode where we were talking about preseason expectations, and we actually did our preseason awards of who we would expect to be. And we named Hassan Reddick, or at least I did. Who would have thought that my floor of 12.5 sacks would be, I mean, he just blows right by that in week 11. I mean, I thought, I was like, man, if he gets 12.5, and like I said, it was my floor, but even then I was like, preseason, you're predicting 17-0, you're predicting Bird Super Bowl, which we did, by the way, as well as Phil Stiefel from DSM Media. We all predicted Birds in the Super Bowl. But 12.5, I was like, that'd be great.
And I laughed.
You did.
For the record, I thought that was the silliest. I just thought he was going to be lost in the sauce with this many stud defensive players. I think I had him at being surprised if he had gotten to 8.5, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was my number. And I was wrong, and I was wrong, and I was wrong, and I was wrong. That would have landed this guy fifth on the team in sacks if he had only gotten 8.5. How silly was I? Fourth, because he's out of it, obviously.
No, and we talk about AJ and the addition and how he made everybody around him better. And you talk about how he allowed the other defensive ends and the other interior linemen to go one-on-ones and everything. How about, I mean, if Seth Joyner was on here, he'd be screaming still right now about how we don't blitz enough. But how about the fact that he can get home regardless of whether we're sending an extra man or not, and it freeing up that extra man? Like, look, we all love the blitz, and we saw week 1, week 2, we were like, zero blitzing. What is going on here? And they did it 3 times in a row, the one drive.
Yep.
Like, it was crazy. And we love that. It's great. It's fun to see. It's great when it's successful, terrible when it's not. But when we can nearly set an NFL record of sacks while blitzing in the bottom third of the league, that's a phenomenal thing. You don't want to have to use that extra attacker to go after the quarterback. You want to be able to get home with 4. What did we say at the beginning of the season when we started a little bit slow on sacks? You're like, man, this defensive line has got to be one of the most overrated. And we said, like, minus Reddick, this defensive line is just, I mean, they're not doing anything. And they were like, hold up, wait a minute. And they just
after that Detroit game. After that Detroit game, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Got no kind of pressure whatsoever. Goff had all the time in the world to throw. But the ability to have just game wreckers, possession switchers, and Hassan Reddick, Sweat, BG, Hargrave, everybody out there, to be able to do that, only rushing 4, occasionally 5 when you have the 5-man front, then it frees up that guy to cover a wide receiver cover a tight end. That's why we only gave up 177 passing yards per game, which is insane.
I mean, that's why these quarterbacks need an extra half a second to figure out where they're going with the football.
Yeah, you get coverage stack on top of just Hassan Reddick having the quickest second step in the NFL.
I mean, if you're not rushing 5-6 guys, there's no clear path for you to go with the football. You still have to make your reads with an excellent secondary, feeds off of the excellent defensive line. I mean, it's just every single level this team has fed off of each other. I mean, just trying to think of who I was going to nominate for this pick. And ultimately, it was a pretty easy decision. But I'm thinking, I mean, C.J. Garner-Johnson was leading the league in interceptions when he went out with an injury. We saw the way this Eagles defense shifted whenever Avonte Maddox went out with an injury. And I'm thinking, is Avonte Maddox possibly our defensive player of the year? Like, just speaks to the depth of this team and how many different directions we could take it. We have Robert Quinn with over 100 career sacks, has not sniffed the field because of the depth and how good this defensive line is.
And he sucks, but
he was great just a year ago.
Yeah.
I forgot he was on the team, to be honest.
No, seriously. Hey, Robert Quinn, Super Bowl MVP.
What are the odds on that?
Oh, it's going to be
plus
it's
$6 million.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that Reddick is 35-1 is insane.
Because it's a game with Patrick Mahomes in it.
Injured Patrick Mahomes against this defense.
Exactly. So if they win, there's a 50% chance he's getting the award.
Yes, if they win, he's getting it. It's him or Travis Kelce.
Right. They're giving it to a quarterback no matter what. I feel like that's
right. Look, he would have to go for 4 sacks with 2 fumbles and 1 recovery for a touchdown.
Look, if you go Hassan Reddick, Super Bowl MVP, same game parlay, throw in, you name whatever player you think is going to get a touchdown. A Miles Sanders.
Prop bets are looking really good.
Yeah, they are. But you go Hassan Reddick, Super Bowl MVP, paired with a Miles Sanders touchdown, anytime score. $50 will get you over $2,000. Even throw $5 on it, and you're getting like $250.
Yeah,
$5. Done. I mean, the guy's going to be an animal out there. Who on the Chiefs' offensive line scares you? Nobody. We'll talk about that later. Hassan Reddick, defensive player of the year, hands down.
Yeah. If it wasn't clear, he's clearly my defensive player of the year.
And I think years looking back, we're going to think of this as one of the best Eagles defenses of all time.
Listen, not to totally derail this conversation, but I was having a really hard time trying to figure out if any team that the Eagles have put out has been better than this team.
This might be the greatest Eagles team of all time.
Like, I know a lot of pundits have been talking 17 versus this year's team. Fletcher Cox said 17 was better.
Good.
I mean, listen,
they were very good. They were
totally sidetracked. They were blowing teams out throughout the season.
Yeah.
I got to tell you though, man, with a healthy TO, that 04 team gives this team every bit a run of its money.
Yeah.
I think the 04 team would rank second among the 3 we just talked about.
Really?
And then the 2017 Super Bowl winning, believe it or not, I think the Super Bowl winning team.
I misheard you. I agree with you. 2017, I think, is the 3rd greatest team. 2004 is the 2nd, and this might be the greatest. I think 2004, they just didn't have enough weapons.
You could ask me throughout the week, and I would give you different answers, man. It's been going
I could ask
back
you throughout
and forth
the
in my
episode.
head. Right. I mean, with a healthy TO though, man, that team would have given them problems. That is not what we're here to discuss today, guys.
No, but I mean, look, not looking too far ahead. We've got a whole slew of off-season topics. I mean, we're going to go right into Phil's. We're trying to plan a way for us to get down to Clearwater for spring training. Like, we're doing all kinds of stuff. We're going to be there opening weekend, but we've got a whole slew of off-season stuff that we're really itching to talk about. But after the parade, of course. Sean, next award.
So I was thinking of pushing MVP back to kind of the last individual award. I'm going to go with Rookie of the Year.
Pretty lackluster cast, I'm going to be honest.
This one was not a slam dunk.
No.
This one,
I had a hard time finding 4 nominations.
Were there 4?
There were 4. Our nominations for Rookie of the Year: Britton Covey, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship.
All right. Well, we got exactly one of those players who was a prominent member of this defense throughout the season. He was not our first overall pick, our 15th overall, I should say, our first rounder. Really the only rookie worth mentioning that has played not only well above expectations, but better than any other of the rookie class is a one Reed Blankenship.
MTSU, go Mustangs.
Go Stangs.
Coach.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty easy. It's Reed Blankenship. You get thrust into action in your first game ever in the NFL for an injured CJ, and what do you do on your first drive but pick off Aaron Rodgers and to stop momentum? I don't think you could have a better, like, I'm now the starter moment, knowing that he was going to be out for an extended period of time or just at least the rest of the game. We see him just in random plays, like where a receiver will get an end around or a tight end will be, breaking a tackle and running. And then here comes this nuclear missile that just explodes the guy's lower half. And I'm like, you shot out of a damn cannon.
Yeah.
So for me, it's Reed Blankenship. I'm really excited to see if this was one of those diamond in the rough, undrafted free agent that just ends up sticking around for years and just making plays, just being a sound ass player. So for me, it's Reed.
No, I mean, it's you can argue if Jordan didn't get injured, he would take it. He is starting to really get into his own there before he had the injury. Since he's come back, he went back to the first kind of 4 weeks of the season where he's playing 23% of the snaps.
Have you heard
you haven't heard his name at all. You've never seen him in the backfield, where you never really thought he was going to be, or none of the real pundits thought he was going to be a pass rusher.
Sure.
But you thought a guy that size with his athleticism, he'll get into the backfield. You saw what he did to Cam Jurgens, who we all think is going to do a phenomenal job once he takes the reins. This guy's going to be a game wrecker. You had in that preseason award show we're doing, you had Phil hopping on saying he's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year hands down. I mean, I don't think you can even put him in the same conversation as a lot of these rookies.
Well, here's the thing too. We talk about Nakobe Dean looking like he could be great. It's not his fault that Kaiser and TJ for most of the year
Kaiser didn't play well.
Well, yeah, in coverage, Kaiser missed some plays, but TJ played absolutely phenomenal this year. And it's tough to get Dean on the field. And then you look at our defensive tackle position. I know Fletcher Cox is on the downturn of his year, but Javon Hargrave,
7 sacks.
Yeah, Hargrave played amazing this year. Has better numbers than Chris Jones from pressures, hits, and sacks. Defensive Player of the Year nominee, Chris Jones. Don't get me started. And on top of that, when we signed Sue and Linval Joseph, we didn't know that they were going to revitalize their career just like that. So you talk about that 5-6 man defensive tackle rotation, you're only going to be playing a few snaps here and there. And if we're being honest, guys, the Eagles have been beating the piss out of teams to where Jordan Davis isn't going to come in, like you said, on pass downs when the other team is going 4 wide most of the time.
Point.
So his snaps have kind of been limited. And if they're going to be limited, I want it to be because we're kicking ass and we're doing so well, as opposed to, oh, he sucks or he's hurt. So it's kind of been like a blessing in disguise almost.
No, it's an excellent point. And I still have a lot of faith in Jordan Davis, no doubt. I really do. I think he's going to become a very good defensive tackle in the NFL and a very good defensive tackle for our team. Wasn't his year, but like you said, same kind of situation as Kobe Dean. You had studs in front of him that limited his play, his snaps, and then you had an incredible team, arguably the greatest Eagles team of all time, that are putting other opposing teams in situations where his strengths aren't really, just the spotlight's not on him.
Right. I mean, we're getting outside of the first quarter, and all of a sudden the teams are no longer in obvious running downs. Like there's not a single one. So, we were clamoring for more Jordan Davis throughout the season before his injury because he was showing some promise.
Oh yeah.
Certainly the book isn't written. We're not. Nobody here is calling him a dud.
No, I mean, you saw the stats before he got injured. The yards per carry when he was off the field and when he's on the field. I mean, the guy. There's a clear correlation between stuff and the run in Jordan Davis.
Right.
But enough about Jordan Davis. We'll talk about him more. This is Reed Blankenship's time. MTSU, go Stangs.
I had to stop myself from doing it earlier. I'm glad you took the plunge.
Incredible undrafted free agent. Looking forward to seeing him make plays in the big game. Looking forward to seeing both him and Jordan Davis making some plays in the big game. But Rookie of the Year goes to one Reed Blankenship. Not the Paul Turner training camp champ, Britton Covey. Brings us to another fun award. We have the Moment of the Year. Nominations include Slay locking down Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith going for over 100 yards in the first half against the Commanders, the Week 14 Giants game massacre at the Meadowlands, and Jalen's comeback against the Colts, him having that poise and showing that he can command a fourth quarter last drive comeback for the win. Coach, your thoughts on these moments?
I love all these moments because I could just see each and every one of them in my head as you say it, just vividly.
Favorite moments, so I hope you like
each and every one. But selfishly, I'm going to vote for the one that I nominated, and that was Jalen Hurts' comeback against the Colts. Wasn't the prettiest game. This is a game 9 times out of 10 Eagles teams of the past lose. Just an absolute dud, a letdown, a stinker on the road. And guys, remember, this was the first game coming off of that Washington game that we lost. The Washington game that we lost, where you can blame the refs, you could blame Quez, AJ, just everything that went wrong could go wrong. And then it trickled into the Colts game, the terrible Jeff Saturday Colts. And we're thinking, oh my God, is this a 2-game losing streak? Is this who the Eagles really are? Are we about to, fall to second place in the division, possibly third because the Giants are winning? And then all of a sudden we're down 16-3 in the fourth quarter, and Hurts leads back-to-back touchdown drives. And some of the runs he had, some of the throws he had on that drive, just willing us back to victory. Just for me, that was the, okay, smack in the face, wake up, boys. Like, last week was a fluke. This week isn't the fluke. Last week was. This is how you win. You can win ugly. You can win pretty. You can win on the road. And we did that. And I remember that episode saying, all that matters is a win. And we won ugly. And sometimes that builds character, man. And it just took off the rest of the season after that. Obviously, we were good before that, but that would have been 2 in a row, 2 losses in a row, something we haven't done. So that moment stuck out the most to me.
Fantastic choice. First, before I even give mine, I'd like to give a shout out to one that my favorite moment that just missed being nominated.
An honorable mention
to our performance against the Packers and rushing for over 300 yards. I love when just the team comes together to shove the ball down on opposing defense.
That seems to be the game plan for the Packers for the past 5 years. Their rush defense, every year it seems like, man, just run against this team. They stink. I mean, and we do every time.
We listen to that.
We're a good team. We're a bad team. Well. We beat the Packers because we run the ball.
Yeah, that was my one that I kept coming to that just didn't quite make the list. But my favorite moment of the year has to be first game in prime time, one of the biggest matchups of the year, and it ended up being Darius Slay having a field day against Justin Jefferson.
Out-caught Justin Jefferson.
Catching Justin Jefferson for the game. It was just really just on a national level, just letting everybody know the Eagles are serious this year. Jalen Hurts has made the jump, and y'all better watch out. Be ready to give every excuse in the book as to why this team isn't legit, and they're still going to prove you wrong week in and week out.
Now, it was, and like Joey said, all these moments just bring joy to your heart.
There's no wrong answer.
There's
guys.
no wrong
there's
answer.
Still
there's
another.
Really
I mean, there's still another one, another honorable mention I didn't even bring up.
Oh, we got time. The fans voted for the Devontae Smith 100 yards in the first half. Great moment. I mean, just dominated that game. Could have went for like 300. Again, it's like the game plan just called us. Why would we force yards? Like, he could have kept going. He could have had 300 yards, but they're like, we're winning handily. We have 9 sacks on Carson Wentz. Let's just run the clock down and leave. It's like
so many good moments just never even happened because we obliterated teams.
Because we just dominated on the field. I mean, when the Eagles are on, they make football look so easy.
I mean, Coach just gave his moment of the year for the one time Jalen had to come back and win a game.
Yeah,
it was the only one you had to pick from.
And they're like, well, the Jags. We're like, yeah, but that was in the first quarter.
Right.
That wasn't. We had that solved by halftime.
Right.
And Sean, with your moment with Darius Slay on Justin Jefferson, he could have had about 4 or 5 interceptions that game.
Yeah,
it was just play after play after breakup after drop after. I mean,
they kept trying him next week.
They kept trying him, and he dropped a couple, which he tends to do, but he was literally almost playing catch with Kirk Cousins that day. It was unbelievable.
No, it was really incredible. And you hear all the crap about other wide receivers. I mean, he just took the life out of Justin Jefferson. He was just like, I'm done playing football today. Today is not a day where I'm going to play football.
Every single time a DB has a good game against a corner or a wideout or vice versa, you always see those memes where it's like, this is somebody else's daddy. Like he really was Justin Jefferson's dad. Like he took him over his knee and spanked him for 4 quarters.
He did. He most certainly did. My moment of the year was probably closest. I'd probably have to go with yours. Close second, though, really was fun to see them just whoop up on the Giants in week 14. I mean, nearly putting a 50 spot on them. Could have blanked them. Could have shut them out. And just at the end of the game, like, sure, you get some points. Like, you can have yours. Go right ahead. We don't care. Incredible to see, especially when you heard a lot of talk going into it. You know, the Giants are an underrated team. It's always tough to win in division. Who would know that would set up for, oh, well, it's impossible to win 3 games against one team. The hardest part of winning 3 games against one team is playing a team 3 times. That's the hardest part of it. Beating them the 3rd time is statistically one of the easier things to do. But I digress. I would probably have to lean towards Darius Slay and just being absolutely dominant over Justin Jefferson. But I can completely understand, because that could completely alter the season if Jalen Hurts wasn't able to come around and make those drives. But if we ask the fans, they'd be like, no, you're all wrong. It's Devontae Smith. So we have really no way of saying
I love that they gave us that answer one. I mean, we didn't even talk about A.J. Brown single-handedly getting his old GM fired by torching the Titans. I mean, that could have been number 1 in so many different seasons. Yeah, literally whipping them, just sent them back. This has been a magical ride, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. This is...
So the answer is E, all of the above.
All of the above.
Excellent. We have nobody to send this award to, so we can answer it however the hell we can answer any of them however the hell we want.
It's our show.
Coach, you want to go with biggest surprise?
Yeah, we'll do biggest surprise. And, you know, I think when we were texting, boys, or when we were talking about this, I mentioned who my biggest surprise might be. But during the show, I think I'm going to switch it up. Just been thinking. You know, my biggest surprise, it was going to be Reed Blankenship, because who the hell even saw this guy making the team, let alone making an impact? But I'm honestly, because I'm gonna be a victim of recency bias here, I'm gonna say my biggest surprise is Kenny G. The last quarter of the season, maybe the last 4 or 5 games, and these last 2 playoff games, if you were an alien from outer space and you came down and you were just learning football and you only watched those 5, 6, 7 games, you'd be like, this guy's a starting running back for the Eagles. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Yeah. This guy's fast, catches everything. Even though he's small, you know, he gets through the holes with these bounces off massive linemen and linebackers. Like he's spinning for extra yards, breaking tackles. It's very Corey Clement-ish, if you guys remember me making that comparison, who Corey Clement was just about as average as you can ever imagine a running back being, a dime a dozen. And in the Super Bowl, turning into
led the Eagles in receiving yards with one of the greatest Super Bowl catches, touchdown catches,
100 yards.
I mean, you know how difficult a catch like that is. In the back of your mind, thinking, man, I know out of bounds is right in front of me. I can't look at it, but I know it's right there. I have to look over my shoulder. Got a defender draped on me. I have to think about 18 different things. Catch it 2 feet in bounds. Make sure I have separation from the defender. Make sure I don't run out of bounds. I mean, and the fact that you have arguments where, oh, did he bobble it? Did he catch it? He caught it. At the end of the day, he caught it. How many points was it worth? 6. You look at it, touchdown, Corey Clement. It's there. So it was a catch. In like one of the most underrated moments of that Super Bowl. You don't hear people talk about it nearly enough. When we had Nelson Aguilar, who had a great year that year, had a great Super Bowl. But he was one of the worst at tracking the ball in the air. And you have Jalen Reagor get absolutely lost doing a spin cycle in the middle of the field trying to figure out where the ball is. And then just to have an undrafted free agent running back go out there and make a catch like that in a crucial moment of the biggest game of his career is something. Look, you got me started with Kenny G. That already got me amped up. Then you brought in Corey Clement. Then you brought in that catch. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, that's who he's reminding me of right now. And I just think in the Super Bowl,
12 pounds of wings in the freezer. Let's fry him up right now.
I think he's going to have that type of a moment. I'm not saying 100 yards and a touchdown, but I'm saying he's going to have a big play where we're like, where was this all year?
Talking
but it's going to be a
lock of the week.
Yeah, like a continuation. A continuation of what he's been doing all year. So that's my biggest surprise is Kenny G.
I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to have me disagree against Kenny G, baby. Wasn't even a nominee.
I know. I just thought I just can't. I don't know why.
We didn't even go over the nominees.
I can't even put him because I wasn't surprised at all.
It doesn't matter.
I wasn't surprised at all. I knew he had it in him. What did I say when you said who was going to have the biggest year from one year to the last? I was like, Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah, the biggest. My answer was very wrong. I answered Quez Watkins.
You did. And I agreed. I was like, oh, it's a good answer.
Everybody
That's a good answer.
Loved it, man. I didn't have one single ounce of pushback. And I was so fast.
We're going to have 3,000-yard wide receivers. He's going to catch minimum 8 50-yard passes.
That's fast Batman. That's fast.
He's
Batman.
fast. No, he's not.
That's Robin.
That's tall. Stop. That's not even Alfred. The Penguin. Or the Riddler, because he leaves me scratching my head as to why he has a roster spot.
Hi-yo.
But the nominees were one, Reed Blankenship, TJ Edwards, Ndamukong Suh, and one other guy. Stand by. And Brandon Graham.
Yeah, I don't even remember getting the nominations for this one. So my train of thought is going to make no sense. I was trying to look back.
Rick Lovato, long snapper of the year.
I was trying to look back and see exactly where I was wrong at the very beginning of the season. I know we've spoken.
It's a long look.
I know we spoke multiple times about how wrong I was about Hassan Reddick. But ultimately, if you had told me, no, actually, he has a fantastic season, I wouldn't have been that surprised. Yeah. Okay, we found a niche for him. We found a spot for him in this defense. And let's see. And then I thought, what am I having a brain fart right now?
It's okay. We're only live.
And then I thought, of all players coming back this season, if you had told me Brandon Graham was going through one last hurrah, he was coming off of a torn Achilles, and what kind of season would you expect? I would have expected him to have be getting gentlemen's claps for coming in for 3
third
snaps
rotation kind of guy.
Barely. I mean, I expected him to get 7 snaps a game tops, just so that the announcer can have something to yell to get the crowd hyped up. That Brandon Graham was in the game. So for him to have was it a career high in sacks over the season?
Yep, first time in double digits
in his 12th NFL season,
something like that.
He's been in this league for over a decade, and to finally get his highest sack total of the season, and to be a stud. I mean, we just looked at this 49ers game in which he had Trent Williams on skates.
Yeah,
right. Just showing the power that he has, the burst that he's still got, and he looks better than ever.
Are you sure you want to answer this? Because he's mean. He's a meanie head. He got fined more than Trent Williams because he was mean.
He is a big bad man.
He's mean.
Yeah. I think if we've spent any time listening to Brandon Graham over the last decade in Philadelphia, that guy is a genuine pleasure to be around and is a treasure for the city of Philadelphia.
Oh yeah. But the fact that he got fined more than Trent Williams, who body slammed a guy 150 pounds lighter than him.
I don't get that one bit.
Well,
I don't get it one bit.
NFL is full of a bunch of hypocrites. They're just lying right to your face. We care about player safety. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about any player safety. They don't give a shit about anything. They care about money. They're like, oh, we can find him. Great. And look, you can look at it and be like, oh, well, it's the way that it's set up. It was the same thing with like the, what was it? People were complaining about like Aaron Rodgers didn't get a big enough fine or suspension for a line or whatever. And they're like, well, look, like it fell into this category and he got the maximum for this. I don't know. You can't fine a guy for being mean.
He was
and
rude.
You know what he said, but he didn't say anything over the line. Like, you know, he was just talking his talk, backing it up.
Listen, he was mic'd up, wasn't he?
I don't know. I hope so.
He was talking a good bit back and forth with Kittle.
Brandon, send me that. Send me that audio. And then you got me probably leaning Reed Blankenship's way. So this is another voters voted Reed Blankenship. BG was a very close second, 35% to Blankenship to 31% to BG. I don't think you can go wrong with either answer. It's tough. It's super close between the two of them, in my opinion. The only reason, again, I'm not picking Kenny G is because I expected him to have a pretty solid year. I thought the biggest issue with him was volume. He wasn't getting the volume when he got it. How many times have I said 40% of his touches last year were for a first down or a touchdown? You roll your eyes because I said it a million times.
No, I just remembered why I had a brain fart 10 minutes ago.
Oh, please, floor is yours.
No, so I had actually been called out 2 days ago on Instagram for leaving a comment when the Eagles were declaring, or somebody was developing, that they were in the hunt for James Bradberry. And everybody was very overwhelmingly positive. And I quote, I said, who knew that the Eagles were one James Bradberry away from going to the Super Bowl? And they sure as hell were. So my runner-up for personal biggest surprise, I knew he was a good CB cornerback number 2, but I didn't know he would be nearly this damn good. My runner-up is going to be James Bradberry, just locking down
second team All-Pro.
Yeah, it just absolute stud. I didn't see it coming quite to this, nearly to this extent.
No, incredible season. So we'll
shout out to whoever it was that called me out and was like, yeah, man, I guess they were right. And I was like, I guess they were right.
We'll throw up a poll with Kenny G, Brandon Graham, and Reed Blankenship for the finals. Those are our 3 finalists, and we'll let fans decide who gets that award, and we'll send him his plaque upon receipt of the award. Brings us to our second to final award. Very, very quick award. We have the Comeback Player of the Year award. Nominations for this award were Brandon Graham, BG, Graham, and Brandon. Sean.
You know, this one was a tough one. I think you can make good points for any one of these guys on the list. Ultimately, like we just mentioned in the segment prior, just coming back and being so explosive on that Achilles tear, I'm going to go Brandon.
You're going to go Brandon. See, that's where I disagree with you. I feel as though it's pretty hands down BG.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he can come back from an injury like that, to have a career year, it's remarkable. The award should have been named after him. I mean, it's got to be BG over Brandon. Coach?
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with both of you. I'm going to have to go Brandon Graham on this one. Just you both make pretty good points. But I'm going to have to go Brandon Graham on this. I think, like the 2 people you guys named, he also came back from a torn Achilles and had a pretty good year. So I'll have to look up the stats, but I'm just going to go with my gut on this one. Brandon Graham.
That's fair. And I really feel like Graham was left. We didn't talk about Graham enough.
No, and it's not because he wasn't had a fantastic comeback. It was just all these other guys just did that much more.
I mean, it's remarkable to have a team just come back from this much adversity, to have a group of 4 guys to just go out and play at that level. They're all really deserving at the end of the day of that award.
It just speaks to the work ethic that this entire organization puts in and how much is expected of you as a player.
Yeah. You'd think there wasn't enough snaps to go around to those 4 guys, but they all took advantage of it. Brings us to our final award. Sean, would you like the honors of the MVP?
All right. So the team MVP, the most valuable player who this team would look drastically different with their replacement playing. Again, this one was a no-brainer. It might just be a clean sweep amongst us. It is the biggest jump that the National Football League has seen a quarterback make regardless of whoever that quarterback is in Buffalo, it's got to be Jalen Hurts.
No, hands down.
This team just runs through the guy. He is the heart, the soul of this organization. He is everything that you could ever want in your leader, your quarterback. You're the face of your organization. He has made the leap, and he's going to be here for a long time, guys. Jalen Hurts.
Fingers crossed. Lock him up. Our friends here's a question. Our friends over at Bell and the Birdmen posted this. Which contract would you rather have? 3 years fully guaranteed or a 10-year contract? If you had to pick one of the two for Jalen Hurts.
I mean, you would still have to tell me the terms of each of those contracts, because my brain, my heart's saying 10 years, and ultimately I think that is my answer because of the growth that this guy's had. He's not some top 3 overall pick with the pedigree, and we all kind of knew that he was playing just up to where he should have been. He has ascended far beyond what we thought his ceiling was, and it's an attribute to the work that he's put in.
Not at this pace. It's not like he's going to get exponentially better next season. You can't.
But he is in the top, that S tier pantheon of quarterbacks in today's league.
Oh yeah, Coach.
Let me ask you guys this: what would you say is Jalen Hurts' flaw? Is it athleticism? Is it leadership? Is it mobility? Is it arm strength? Is it accuracy? Is it knowledge of the offense? Is it chemistry with his receivers? Is it any of those?
No,
It is not.
The quote-unquote MVP of the league, Patrick Mahomes, got a 10-year deal. And we were sitting here saying that Jalen Hurts, prior to his little shoulder injury that he was just being held out because of precaution, was going to be the MVP. So if has the accolades, the MVP resume that this 10-year contract guy has, and he has none of the deficiency or flaws that I just said, and he's in the Super Bowl now, youngest Eagles quarterback in history to do it, why not the 10 years? I don't understand. He'll be 34 years old, which is still in the prime of a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. Plus, he has mobility, so it's not like he's going to be a statue in those 10 years. I just think that you signed A.J. Brown, his best friend. Devontae Smith is who you drafted, his college teammate. Landon Dickerson, his college teammate. I mean, what are we doing here? Grant Calcaterra was a college teammate of his too. We even had a practice squad running back who was his running back in college at Oklahoma too. Like, guys, like, they're building around this guy. And I don't understand why you want to build around this guy and be like, let's do 3 years and maybe we can restructure after 2. No, give him the 10. This is the face of your franchise, period.
I mean, we don't have to do either. That was just the two that the question was.
No, and I understand. I understand where that question comes from because we just got out of we're divorced from our starting quarterback. Might as well have been the league MVP in 2017. Yeah. Thought we were good for a decade, right? Not a single person batted an eye when we signed him to that extension. And the wheels fell off quick, right? But this guy, Hurts, isn't a second overall pick with all the physical gifts in the world.
No.
He's had to work to get this good. Like, the work ethic is no question.
Oh, yeah.
The leadership, there were serious questions regarding Carson Wentz's leadership.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, think how annoying it was, guys, when we would always hear these leaks from Josina Anderson or like different reporters that like, oh, there's dissension in the locker room. Some people want Nick Foles. Some people want Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, not necessarily the best leader. He won't take criticism. He won't adjust on the fly. He's going to do things his way. We always hear those leaks. And as Eagles fans, we're always like, nah, that's not true. Not true. Tell me one bad thing you've heard out of this locker room about Jalen Hurts. From anyone, a whisper, a rumor, even an opposing fan base that was like, nah, I've heard people say that he's really fake. He's not really like, there's not one thing at all, even from Cowboys fans, Giants fans, anybody. You cannot find it. The only thing you could find is someone saying it's the system and not Hurts. And then Hurts goes out and puts together an MVP year. So to me, all the boxes have been checked. Yep. If you're checking these boxes and saying, what do I need to do to lock this guy up long term? They're checked. Wentz, as much as I liked him back in the day, there were some unmarked boxes, and we all know that now. So I just think when you have that, especially if we win the Super Bowl and have this Lombardi, it's blank check time, in my opinion.
Well, the NFL MVP and the Eagles MVP are both one Jalen Hurts. Easiest one next to Defensive Player of the Year. I guess Comeback Player of the Year. We were a little undecided on that one. But MVP's got to be Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's unanimous.
Yep.
I mean, the guy is just clearly as level-headed as it gets. To make this jump from his second year to his third and still not be the cockiest son of a bitch,
No, at 24, like a testament. It's insane.
Like, if I worked for this to become one of the best quarterbacks in the league after getting my shit rocked the year before, I wouldn't have stopped talking. You give me just an inch and I will take a mile worth of shit talk. So I've been impressed at every single turn with this guy.
No, it's really been incredible. And you said at the beginning, no quarterback has made an improvement in a year's time. Since Jalen Hurts is the biggest improvement.
He is the new second to third year jump, the standard from which they will speak of in years to come.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have quarterbacks getting an opportunity in the third year because of Jalen Hurts, because of what he's done. That's why the Bears shockingly are remaining with Justin Fields, as you saw that headline out there, instead of considering drafting a quarterback. Not so shockingly, they had to have seen Jalen Hurts and been like, yep, Justin Fields has a lot of those qualities.
Right.
But they were never going to
take one look at the team around him. Yeah. Why would it be any surprise that they would give it to Justin Fields?
Yeah. I can't believe that was an article. But they also asked, this is the same media that asked Nick Sirianni, is Sunday a must-win game?
That was kind of funny. I'm surprised.
I mean, I laugh at it.
I'm surprised he didn't take that a little bit more, like have a more entertaining response.
I certainly hope they were asking it.
I mean, it's the week of the Super Bowl. It's like, media day. You got a whole bunch of people just trying to get a rise or just have a funny little soundbite.
I mean, will they give anybody credentials to that event? Like, because for that question to be asked, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, it's a whole bunch of, I don't know. You got Nickelodeon reporters, you got Telemundo reporters,
You got against the spam.
Well, there was one. Did you hear the one where they go, which player on the Eagles would you let date your daughter? And he was like, she's 5. None of them. And I'm like, what? Between that, is this a must-win game? That was like, if the Steelers were in the Super Bowl with the Eagles, which team would you be pulling for? And he's like, the Eagles. I coach the Eagles. Next question. What are we doing?
Just some morons out there. But some geniuses in here. What a show. A lot of awards. Winners, we will be sending these awards out to you, so be looking in the mail. I understand with everything going on that you had to be in Arizona right now. We would have loved to have you in studio for this, as I know we were talking back and forth, and it was really looking like it was going to shape up, but thankfully you are in Arizona. So we weren't able to have all of the nominees in-house for these awards as we're hoping and planning to do.
Maybe next season. Probably not.
No.
Hey, gentlemen, can I give you guys a little Eagles Super Bowl trivia before we go?
Oh, but of course.
Can you name the only 2 wide receivers to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles? There's only been 2 ever to catch a touchdown for the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Alshon had one, right?
That's one.
Yeah, he had an incredible catch over the shoulder. Tio had a ton of yards, but I don't think he scored.
Did Aguilar score?
No, he did not score.
Freddie Mitchell?
Fred X?
Yellow Fred X? I have no idea who scored in
Alshon and 1 in 04.
Correct.
I'm going to go Alshon and Pinkett.
Pinkston?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Stingston?
Whoa. Pinkston.
I'll go Fred X.
It's close. It was Greg Lewis.
Greg Lewis.
Funny enough, this is the Greg Lewis Bowl, man. Coming up this Sunday.
Just a little random trivia for you. I saw that earlier today, and I was like, damn, only 2 receivers have ever caught that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
That is going to change big time on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. We're going to more than double that.
We're going to add 2 to that list.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Minimum.
And we're getting 3 receivers with different receptions? 3 different receptions?
Oh, well, we're gonna at least add 2. We might add a third.
Well, I think Sean. I think if
No,
Quez Watkins catches a touchdown, you should don a Quez Watkins jersey on our.
I'm gonna have to. I think Zach Pascal's gonna get 90% of the snaps whenever they roll out.
He didn't in the NFC Championship game. He got outsnapped by Quez again.
I'm telling you this right now. If we win the Super Bowl, I don't care who catches a touchdown for the Eagles.
Oh, no.
The most obscure player ever. If there's 3 receiving touchdowns, all 3 of us will be wearing a different jersey of that person who caught a touchdown. You heard it here first.
Okay, sure.
There we go.
Mine can't be Quez.
I don't care who it is. I don't care.
No, exactly. I don't care one bit.
We're gonna.
I don't care
what the score is
on a fake to sip us.
Right, we're all gonna be wearing Grant Calcaterra jerseys, or what's it?
Devin Allen, baby.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you can get those. Certainly can't get them at Fanatics.
Hold on, what's going on? We can't even get these damn Eagles jerseys.
You can't get them at Fanatics, that's for sure.
Get them at Fanatics.
Or if you order them,
ones.
Or if you order them, they'll get here in March.
What the hell's going? Is there like a conspiracy against the Eagles fans? Like, how
Fanatics,
much money?
If you pay us, we will advertise for you.
Yeah, you're not doing a very good job putting the product out onto the damn field.
It's pretty insane.
Or you can get that weirdo silver one.
Yeah.
What the hell's that? We're seeing
they're not even wearing
jerseys all over the place.
Yeah. Just buy the little patch and buy a jersey and have your mom sew it on.
Right. Yeah.
Easy enough. Good episode, great awards. Again, for anybody that is tuned in live, we thank you. For anybody that is tuning in after the fact, we thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
No doubt.
Right now, if you're still listening, give us a subscription or subscribe. You'll find out, be the first ones to find out for every new episode.
Exactly. And for all the giveaways, we do giveaways all the time. We have one coming up, a big one. If you have that notification, you get that first notice. Some of these might be first come, first serve. So,
and we're giving away a lot of good stuff, and you always have a pretty good shot at getting it.
Yeah, no doubt. So definitely like, subscribe, follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Talkin 215, talking without a G. Go Birds. Final thought?
Go Birds.
Go Birds. We'll see you in a couple days to break down this game.